Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Omega Insight. I'm glad that you can join me this evening. Tonight's topic is discussing stress reduction. Now, please, first let me just premise this. I am not a doctor, so this is just for my own experience. This is from things that I've gleaned and read and have been taught. Obviously, everyone understands stress. There's no need for me to explain what stress is. We all experience it, whether it's being in that stressful moment, whether it's not being able to express the stress and it starts to build up and build up and build up, and then we have it a stressful explosion, or it could just be a stress that exists within us. It's a constant stress. Now, the idea when it comes to stress can be very beneficial, can be very helpful if we can use it. Of course, with everything, it's in moderation, let's say. Now, when I think about stress, especially lately, much of the stress is created by emotions. There's the term emotional intelligence. And so when our emotions are running amok, it actually builds stress. And I apologize. I was going to look through and get the facts on what stress actually does to our physical body. Obviously, you get the knots in your stomach, your muscles bunch up. Some people are nauseous. They can't eat. Some people get so stressed, they're narcoleptic, just go right to sleep. So stress can affect us in many different ways. So the idea is, how do I handle stress? Now, there's traditional, the glass of wine in the evening, or ice cream, chocolate, and exercise, candy, any kind of candy. These can be very beneficial. Exercise is a great way to relieve stress, but sometimes in that moment, exercise isn't helpful. So I would put exercise as something to help us cope with stress in the long run, just like meditation. Meditation is very beneficial for us. The more we meditate, the more in control we are of our thinking, the more we are in control of our emotions, which is what we really do eventually want to get to, is to being in control of our emotions. That requires us to be present and mindful naturally. I was thinking about some of the things that I have done in the past to help with stress. I know as a young individual, I would get angry and I'd get in the car. Very dangerous. Do not drive when you're stressed. It's not the most beneficial thing to do. But being outside, I've always had a natural inclination to be outside. Being outside in nature is very, very beneficial to reduce stress. Nature walks, wonderful. Of course, in Phoenix, it might be too hot to go outside to walk, so that may not be the most beneficial thing. Taking a long bath, relaxing in water. Water is very conducive for absorbing negative energy. So being in a bath, a nice relaxing bath, that's why bubble baths are so popular, or people who use baths with bath salts, the different types of oils and salts that you can put into a bath, that's very beneficial. Again, in Arizona, a hot bath doesn't sound very appealing. The thing that I love to default to is go to the things that you love to do. Now, within moderation, please let me say that. I had a client one time, she stress shopped. So she would go shopping and spend tons and tons and never wore the clothes she wore or used the stuff she wore. As a matter of fact, there would be like an extra closet in her house or an extra bedroom that was just a closet that she just threw all the stuff in because she stress shopped. There's people who stress eat. Everyone understands that as well. So when I say do the things you love within moderation, and as long as it's not a detriment to the task at hand. I understand if you want to change the energy or change your focus. I completely get it. Do a Scrabble or play a game on a video, but don't spend 7 hours doing that. A couple games, decompress, and then continue on. Now, of course, being at work, the idea of playing solitaire isn't very popular, especially with your boss. So you may not want to resort to that. I know that when George Adair, when he was towards the end of his life, and his mind was very confused and panicky, and he was in a heightened stressful state because he knew he didn't understand and he couldn't figure out why he didn't understand. What I would do is, I had this one drawer, it was the junk drawer. I would just pull it out and put it in front of him and ask him to organize it for me. And I am not kidding you, it calmed him down every time I put it in front of him. So the caregivers, everybody knew, just that's the drawer. When he started to get agitated, take that drawer out, put it in front of him, and just let him organize. And it didn't matter what he was doing, he just organized, and just putting the pieces, it calmed him down. Again, remember, we want to remove the emotional that's starting to build. We want to be able to let that decompress and not bring ourselves to a sense of anxiety. I love to organize, and I know that when I'm challenged with a project, one of the things I do, I organize. I start cleaning up my desk. I'll organize the books behind me. I'll organize them by author and by subject, philosophy, my work runs. So organization is a very big thing for me. But again, not that you spend 7 hours and you don't get to do the thing that you're supposedly doing. My husband told me today one of the sources of stress that he has is when he knows he's got something to complete and he hasn't gotten it done, and he keeps thinking about what he needs to get done. And then there's the next thing you need to get done, and then the next thing you need to get done. Last week I had a phone call with a colleague of mine, a coworker, and she, when we went to hang up, she goes, "Oh, I don't know how I'm going to make next week. It's going to be such a stressful week." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "The election." And she was already stressing about the election on Friday. The election isn't until tomorrow. So that's emotionally driven, and we get so upset. And that's the idea. What we want to do is relax ourselves so that we don't get our place. Don't let the stress take a hold of us, is really what we're looking at. So I've mentioned a couple of things. You take the long walks. The baths are very nice. Being out in nature is wonderful. Do the things that you love. Meditation, highly recommend meditation. There's two things that we can do, though, in the moment. When we're feeling stressful, in that moment, there are two things that we can do to help us control our emotions and reduce the stress. Neither of these are anything new. Relaxing music. Putting relaxing music behind us in the background will immediately relax us. Now, I know that relaxing music has a different terminology. Some people like different genres, so you might think country is relaxing, or Bach is relaxing, or classical, or opera, rap. I'm not going to define what relaxing music is. I just think music in the background that is relaxing would be very beneficial to create an atmosphere that's relaxing. So when I mention relaxing music, I'm talking about music that is slow, that it's got a nice, gentle rhythm to it. If you want to call it elevator music, but it's not really elevator music because those are just songs without the words. Relaxing music is meditation music. It's the best way I can describe that. I always have 2 or 3 different CDs laying around, or I don't know if anybody uses CDs anymore. It's live streaming nowadays, but just to have it in the background. It's very beneficial. It's beneficial for the environment. Plants love relaxing music as well, and it has a very calming effect. Anyone who has a child will tell you they have done the Bach, the putting the nice relaxing music on the mother's stomach so the baby can hear, and it does calm them down. Humming is a wonderful way to relax. I used to rock my grandchildren, and I would put them on my shoulder and I just hum to them. Just a humming, like that nice rhythm, and they knew it was a nice little tone or a sound, a vibration that they would feel when they were laying on my chest. So relaxing music, very beneficial to help decompress. And the second thing is breathing. Almost all of us understand that, but there's breathing techniques that we have that can be very beneficial for us. For example, there's the breathing technique of counting, counting in and out and holding. So you would inhale on a count of, we'll say 5. You inhale on a count of 5, you hold it for a count of 5, then you exhale on a count of 5 and hold that for a count of 5. So you break the breath up into 4 parts. Now, there are many different variations on this. Some people inhale for a count of 5, exhale for a count of 2, or inhale for a count of 5, hold it for a count of 10, exhale. Whatever works for you, it's just conscious breathing. You're just bringing your attention back to your breath to calm you down, because as your heart races, you're going to start shallow breathing, and we want to avoid that. So again, that's one way. There's another technique of holding the nostril, like you'll inhale through your nostril, exhale through your mouth, and then the same thing, inhale through the other side and exhale through your mouth. Again, what you're doing is being conscious of your breathing. This can be done anytime, anywhere. So if you're on a Zoom call with your boss and there's a lot of stress, you could easily sit there and just breathe in, hold it, breathe out, and hold it, and no one will even know you're doing it. So it's a nice, easy, peaceful way in the present moment to work on releasing the stress so it doesn't build up. And then, of course, the relaxing music in the background. Of course, please don't have the music on when your boss is on. Well, unless they're okay with that, I guess that's okay as well. But remember, the idea is we want to be able to monitor, control our emotions so that our emotions don't spiral out. What we have been seeing in the news in the last, I'm going to say month, 2 months, 3 months, in the last set of time, it's emotions going wild. These are emotions that are unchecked and they're fueling the body. We've talked about this in the classroom several times, how when our emotions run, it's a lot of destruction. And what we need to do is move it up to construction. And in order to get our emotions to be constructive, we must channel them up to the mental aspect of us, to my mind, where I start have rational thinking. I start realizing, oh, if I do this, that's going to happen. I start recognizing my actions have consequences. When I'm living in the emotional state, I don't care about consequences. It's kind of like if you've ever had an argument with somebody that you love, and you end up screaming at them, I hate you. Well, in that moment, you may be feeling upset and hate, but you really don't truly hate that individual, this person you love. But when our emotions are in charge, we say things that are hurtful and spiteful. It is the idea to decompress ourselves, is to control our emotions and channel our emotions up so that they become constructive instead of destructive. So again, a very simple tool, simple, easy tool is the breathing techniques. So conscious breathing and having relaxing music behind us. When we have relaxing music in our environment, it causes, you know this, you know what it's like to walk into an office or into somebody's home, and it feels very warm and welcoming, as opposed to walking into another place, a business, or I hate to say a dentist office, but dentist office, where there's like, and it's kind of cold. So the idea is you want to set a place for us, or yourself, to control your emotions and remind yourself that you are in control of your emotions. Now, I picked this topic because I do know that tomorrow is the election and emotions are going to go run high. I find it very curious that we've reached a state in our society that we no longer can say, I agree to disagree. Now, if we have people who are on the opposite sides, wars break out. People are screaming and yelling and fighting, and family members are not talking to each other. Relationships are broken. Friendships are disbanded because you're on the other side of the fence. And that didn't used to be that way. It used to be that we could simply say, okay, I agree that you have a different point of view, and that's great. And not make them wrong, not try to prove that you're right. Just remove the emotion and have an intelligent conversation. That would be the goal. If we can rise above our emotions, this is where we find the peace that we're searching for. Remember, Our emotions are connected to the lower levels. Peace is a high vibration word. That is connected to the high levels, the high vibrations. That's what we're searching for, is peace. That's the other side of stress. We have stress and then we have peace. So my goal, therefore, would be to help us remember that each of us has the ability to reach a peaceful state of mind. And it starts with rising above our emotions, controlling our emotions. Remember, you've got the conscious breathing and you've got the relaxing music in the background. And also the list of continuing on things to do. Massages are wonderful. Spa treatments are great. Then you've got your meditation, walking in nature. Take an hour break and go outside and walk. It's beautiful out now. Go outside and just stand in the sun and feel the sun on you. Reconnect to nature. We used to tell people to go over and if you're not feeling well, go touch a tree, hug a tree, and the tree will actually absorb the negative energy as long as it's not a cactus. Don't want to injure yourself and cause more harm. But those are things that we can do on a continual basis. Exercise is a great form to help us maintain releasing the stress that's running through our body. So I hope that you have a wonderful evening. Remember your practices for tomorrow and the rest of the week until next we meet, that when you have an opportunity, you're breathing in that moment. Remember, you're in charge of your breathing. You're in charge of your breathing, and you're in charge of your emotions. Oh, I see that Adriana says she connects with the trees, which is wonderful. And Patricia, I love that you meditate under your tree. That's wonderful as well. So thank you for joining me this evening. Have a very stressless and peaceful night tonight. Oh yes, tapping is another good one. Thank you. I forgot about the tapping. Tapping is another one. You could research that as well. There's great ways to tap and relax and release the energy in the stressful energy that's building up in our bodies. All right. Until then, bye now.